Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel, or hello if you're new here. My name is Rihanna. Today, this is gonna be kind of like the video that I've been wanting to do for a while. I just want to like sit here and chat with you. Like, I really love watching YouTube videos that are very like chatty, like you're just sitting in the car with your friend or sitting in their room on their bed and just chatting with them. They're telling you a story or whatever it may be. I love those types of videos, so that's like kind of what I wanted to do with this video. Sorry if the angle is awkward, sorry if it sounds weird, like I don't know how this video is gonna be, but I mean, we'll see. And also it's like pretty much almost sunset, so I'm sure that the sun will set before I'm done with this. And I guess I should show you guys my view just because it's really cute. So yeah, I just came to a spot like it's in my hometown, not where I'm currently living, but like I live really close to my hometown, so it's not even a big difference. But this is in my hometown, so like just like a nice open space area. There are some cars here, but nobody's in any of the cars. They're all like hiking like normal people. I'm the only one talking to myself in my car. But yeah, so I have my Starbucks with me. I got an iced blonde vanilla latte. So I just wanted to like sit here and chill and drink my Starbucks and talk to y'all. Like I said, the sun is probably gonna go down, so I don't know how that's gonna affect the lighting. So I'm just gonna smoke a joint, enjoy my coffee, and I'm gonna talk to you. So first of all, I just want to chat about how 2020 has changed me, how it's impacted my life, because as like I'm sure it has everybody, it's impacted my life greatly. And you know, I wasn't prepared for it. It's not what I was expecting, and although it was terrible, although it was unprecedented, like it still did leave like good impacts and good after effects on my life. So I think it's best if I start by kind of discussing like where I was at mentally going into 2020. So at the end of 2019, I kind of had my heart broken twice. I was just like, you know, I was in a really weird spot, and I had like a lot of mental clarities. I really like came to understand a lot of things in my life that I previously hadn't like understood, or like I wasn't seeing them. Like I began to see them in 2019. You know, I was in a very toxic relationship, and in the end of 2019, like it kind of came to a very traumatic like halt ending. Just a lot of things that I'm more than happy to discuss later in other videos, but it's just like too much to go into detail right now. Like that deserves a whole video on its own. But yeah, so at the end of 2019, I was really going through a lot, mentally, emotionally, you know, in my personal life. I was going through a lot. So then when 2020 rolled around, you know, I had a lot of things on my to-do list for 2020 that obviously I was not able to accomplish, but they were also things that were like really important to me, you know, like in 2020 I wanted to move out, and I was able to do that, but I wasn't able to do that until October of 2020, when like I had been planning on moving out since like October of 2019. So of course the main issue with 2020 was that I was left pretty much jobless, supportless, because I also didn't receive either of the stimuluses. Like I have not received the most recent stimulus either. I also didn't receive any unemployment benefits, because in 2018 to 2019 and in 2020 until like March when we shut down, I was working at a club as a dancer. And in New Mexico, I think it's in most places, but in New Mexico, dancers, entertainers are not employees of the club. They are independent contractors. So I was basically unemployed for the past year, so I received no benefits from unemployment. And I know there are lots of other like loopholes that dancers found to get the stimulus and to get unemployment this year, but I've just been a very terrible adult. I've been very, like disorganized. So I just didn't have it together to try to figure out any of those loopholes, like I just don't think so. I would like to, or I am planning on, filing my taxes for 2021 and like hopefully getting reimbursed for those stimuluses that I didn't receive, but we'll see. So yeah, basically going into 2020, I was heartbroken, I was lost, I was confused, literally felt like a newborn child, like trying to walk, or like a newborn deer trying to walk on their legs, like little stick legs, I just was not prepared at all for 2020 to hit me in the face in March and say, oh, you're also not going to have any type of employment now and no benefits, nothing to help you out. Like the only thing I had going for me was the fact that I had started OnlyFans in October 2019. So I was like, already kind of established, because, when everything started shutting down, everybody like hopped on OnlyFans, and like then it was like super hard to try to build a following because everybody was doing it. Like luckily I had already established like some sort of a following for myself, but even then I was not trying to work that OnlyFans money before. Like it was literally just supplemental bullshit money that I had, so it wasn't a lot. Like it was not a lot. And of course I did like work my ass off a little bit once the pandemic hit and I realized I had no money, or I was not going to have any like incoming money besides from online. But even still, it just doesn't, it's nothing compared to what I could make at the club. Just me personally, just because that's who I am. Like at the club, I've thrived, I flourished. Like even the managers would make comments about me like being one of their top earners. So, I just felt really confident and comfortable at my club, and getting that like ripped away from me so sudden just was very like disheartening and disappointing. But for me, it really made a big difference in my life just because I had like a very good routine going. But another thing that really affected me in 2020 was that, again, in 2019, like before, I had a very big issue trying to even leave my home. Like I was really struggling trying to like not have anxiety going out. Like it wasn't even like social anxiety. Like once I was around people, I was fine, but it was just like that, like initial leaving my house, I would have to like hype myself up to leave the house. Like I was suffering from what I would consider like some type of agoraphobia. It wasn't like too serious, but it was serious enough to where it was causing me issues, definitely. Because it would affect my social life, because I would like cancel on people, I wouldn't want to go out. I just felt so much more comfortable at home. I don't know. And it would affect me financially, because then I wouldn't want to go to work. Like, it just wasn't good. And I was finally like starting to get out of that rut where I was like feeling like good about going out at the end of 2019. Like November, December, I was feeling really good. January 2020, February 2020, I was like feeling pretty good about leaving my home. And it was taking less of a pep talk. It wasn't so serious, But then March comes around and we go on lockdown, and I'm not even supposed to like leave my home to go visit my parents. So that was really tough. That kind of like put me a couple steps backwards in my like trying to pull myself out of that agoraphobia. But despite how just upsetting and difficult 2020 was, it really did, change my life, like completely. And I have like no other choice but to look at it as if those feelings that I was having in 2019, like those realizations, those were kind of cemented in 2020. Like, yes, it was good that I was having those realizations and I was like pushing myself to make changes and to feel better, be better, whatever. But I don't think I would have actually like been able to change as swiftly as I did if 2020 hadn't like really forced me to. Because 2020 mainly, I think, forced a lot of people to sit back and look at themselves and really introspect and like learn about themselves, which was very uncomfortable for a lot of people, I'm sure. For myself included, it was uncomfortable. But if I wasn't forced to do that, if 2020 hadn't have locked me in the house and made me do that, then I would have never realized even more of what I've realized. I don't know, like I've definitely been able to learn a lot more about myself than I even thought. I just feel more in touch with myself, and mainly for once in my life, that's what it is. For once in my life, I finally feel like I know what my purpose is. Like I have a purpose in the first place. Like I've always known like I have to have a purpose. Like there has to be a reason why I'm here. There has to be a reason why like I'm struggling and why I go through every day like this. Because I've struggled with my mental health since I was like 14 years old, 13 years old. Something that I like, of course you wouldn't know that about me if you didn't from just watching this video, but I have struggled with my mental health my whole life. So I think maybe I should have started off with that. But in 2020, of course, I still struggled with my mental health, and I still was, feeling like I don't want to be here sometimes. But in the end of it, I realized that like I do have a purpose, and I realized what my purpose is now. I finally I always thought that I like knew what my purpose was. I've always known that I was put on this earth to help people and to just incite change in some way, or to inspire people, whatever it may be. I've always known that about myself, but finally, like pretty much in the last month, like December 2020, I really kind of just like snapped and was like, this is what I'm here for, and this is how I can do it. This is how I can make a change. Like I was put in this time era specifically because this is the time when I could make the most impact, I think. Basically, what I'm trying to say is 2020 is the reason why I thought that it would be a good idea to start this channel. Because I think that personally, I have not a lot to say, and not like important things to say, but I just have something to share. Whether it be my words or my vibe or my advice or whatever it is that I do with this channel, like I just think that I personally have something to share with people. And I hope that doesn't sound like narcissistic or crazy or anything, but that's like really how I feel after 2020, especially the last month. Now more than ever, I feel like I have a purpose, and my purpose is to share myself, like me. I also think that this kind of connects back with dancing, because when I was a dancer, like at a club, I've always been a dancer also, but at a club, I was able to really form like human connections with people, and I was really like able to impact people and like, just have real meaningful conversations with people. Yeah, and I know that sounds probably crazy to people that happens in a strip club, but trust me, it does. I think that this is kind of the same thing. Like, yes, it's on a more PG-13 scale, whatever, but I'm still sharing myself on a platform. And in this way, I can reach a broader audience, because like I have a lot more things to say than just like about sex work and how I think it should be legalized, and how sex workers should be supported and protected, and how it's a lot different than what mainstream media wants you to believe it is. And there's a lot more interactions that go on that aren't even sexual in sex work. But besides that, like I want to talk about mental health. I want to talk about arts and beauty and religion and death. I really want to talk about death, Overall, what I've always imagined myself doing since I was younger for some reason is working at a funeral home, like being a funeral home director, or being like, I don't know, just somebody who works with people who are grieving specifically, because I myself have experienced a lot of death throughout my life. Like, that's something that I actually left out at the beginning of 2020, at the beginning of, not 2020, but the pandemic specifically. My cousin was actually murdered by the police, like a cousin who was only 2 years older than me, like the cousin that I grew up with. One of my closest cousins was actually murdered by the police. And, I was just so upset because I was like, oh, we're not going to be able to have a funeral for him, because it was like the beginning of lockdown. And I was like, we're not even going to be able to say goodbye to him. We're not even going to be able to grieve this properly. Luckily, we were able to have a funeral. Like, it was just like the families had to go in like one at a time to see the body. But I mean, it was tough, and it's been tough because, I still see him in my dreams, and I still feel like he's around me all the time. But besides that, that's just like one of the many deaths that I've experienced in my life. Like, I know a lot of people experienced a lot of death in 2020, but I've been experiencing a lot of death my whole life. Like, I have a very big family. My father is Hispanic, so I have a very big Hispanic family on that side. And I've just experienced a lot of death, whether it's old age, sickness, accidents. Just a few years ago, like 5 or 6, I don't remember exactly how many years ago now, another one of my cousins, who was, again, only like 2 years older than me, was murdered. And then this year, my cousin is murdered by the cops. Like, the footage was put on the news for everyone to see. Like, that's another story that I could talk about. Because it was kind of like really weird that it would happen when it did. Because it was literally like at the same time that cops were just really using a lot of excessive force. And I was like, of course that would happen, because my cousin, I know I look the way that I look, but like I said, my dad's side of the family is Hispanic. My cousin that was murdered would definitely be considered, I would say, like, I don't know, just a minority in general. Like, and there's a lot of things that go into it, and like I said, I could talk about that in a different video, but it's just that death really like cemented for me that this is something that like I'm supposed to share and talk about, because I don't think that death is supposed to be that terrible. When I die, I want my funeral to be a celebration. Like, I want people to dance. I want people to eat my favorite food. I want people to play my favorite songs and to, of course, like, share pictures and stories and laugh and cry and whatever. But like, I don't want people to mourn me in the typical way. And I do think that that's something that we should start evolving. Like, I think that the way that funerals are done is kind of like out of fashion. Like, it needs to start phasing out. I think there are better and different ways that we can mourn people. And of course, there are some deaths and instances where it's like, oh, this is a sad death. Like, there is no way that we can like be happy here. It's just like, there are definitely some instances where like that typical funeral fashion is needed. For people who live long, happy, prosperous lives, like, there is no reason why it should be dark and gloomy and drab. I don't know. That's just me personally, and I know that could totally sound just absolutely crazy, but I think that's part of my calling and part of my purpose, is to change people's ideas about death. And death and birth are along the same lines, and they're both beautiful. So yeah, sorry this video was like all over the place. I kind of maybe should have like written things down so I remembered to say some things in order, but I don't know. Maybe I'll just like edit it around so it makes sense. I don't know. We'll see. But I did like doing this kind of video. Like, I like this spot. I liked just talking to the camera here. I think it felt good. It felt cathartic. I was mainly hoping for just to feel like some sort of emotional release from talking about this. You know, mainly I just wanted to like kind of like start a conversation about, you know, the impacts that the last year has had on all of our lives, because I know it's not just me that was impacted by this. I know that a lot of people have had their lives changed, have had their careers changed, have had, you know, I think that it just made a lot of people think, like, you know, I know a lot of people are like, oh, I'm never gonna work an office job again. Like, personally, I can't wait for the club to open back up. Like, as soon as it's safe for me to go back to the club, that's where you'll find me at. So basically, I just wanted to get like a discourse going, like about this year, about how it's affected you or inspired you. Because I want this to be like a positive video, like above all the negatives that's happened to me, above all the BS and all that. Like, this year has been inspiring. It has been life-changing. It has been whatever. So I want to hear from you, whoever has watched this video this far and listened to me rant, talk, whatever. How has this year been for you? What has changed your life this year? What has inspired you? Like, what is never, you know, people keep saying like, let's go back to normal, let's go back to normal. And people are like, you know, there is no normal anymore. Like, there is going to be a new normal. What is like your new normal gonna look like? You know, what's something that will never go back to normal for you? And yeah, if you have watched this video this far, like, thank you so much for that. That's awesome. I hope you got something from it. I hope that we can be friends. I hope we feel closer now. Like I said, I would love to hear from you. That'd be awesome as well. Like, let's get a conversation. I just don't want to be like spewing shit at you and you're just listening. Like, I would love to hear from you as well. Yeah, anyways, again, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next video.